Invincible is a show known for its raw intensity, high-stakes battles, and jaw-dropping violence. But it's not just about mindless action. It's the emotional weight behind these battles, the toll they take on the characters, and the personal stakes that make these fights stand out. So, in this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 most brutal fights in Invincible, the battles that left us on the edge of our seats, wondering if our heroes would even make it out alive. Let's dive right in. We're starting off with an intense fight that hit us like a ton of bricks. Mark Grayson, Invincible, versus Battle Beast. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you know that this fight isn't one-sided in the way you might think. Mark may have the powers of a Viltrumite, but Battle Beast is in a class of his own. He's a warrior who lives for combat and takes pride in every fight he's in. Mark, who was still learning the ropes of being a superhero, faces off against this seasoned, battle-hardened beast. The fight kicks off with Mark trying to use his speed and strength to his advantage. But Battle Beast doesn't seem fazed. This isn't a fight where Mark's youthful enthusiasm or his desire to prove himself can save him. Battle Beast doesn't even break a sweat as he unleashes a savage beating on Mark. At one point, Mark is slammed through the ground, and the physical damage he takes is brutal to watch. Mark's determination shines through, but the reality is that this fight is a harsh lesson. There are beings out there who are far stronger than he is. It's a reminder that power isn't everything, and even someone as strong as Mark can be humbled. The bloody and intense nature of this fight, with Mark's face being pummeled, his ribs cracked, and his spirit shattered, is one of the most memorable and brutal battles in the entire series. And yet, despite all of this, Mark doesn't back down, showing us that it's not just his powers that make him a hero, it's his heart. Now, you knew this was coming. Mark Grayson versus his father, Omni-Man. This fight is the defining moment in Invincible. If there was ever a battle that blended the brutality of superhero action with deep emotional stakes, this is it. Omni-Man, the Viltrumite warlord, is one of the strongest beings in the universe, and he's also Mark's father. But when Omni-Man reveals his true nature and his intentions to conquer Earth, Mark finds himself in a fight that's more than just physical. It's about ideology, about the bond between father and son, and about the fate of the entire planet. The fight itself is a spectacle of pure destruction. Mark takes some of the hardest hits we've ever seen, his body breaking under his father's blows. It's gut-wrenching to watch as Omni-Man beats Mark senseless, telling him that Earth's people are weak and unworthy of saving. The punches are bone-crushing, and the impact shatters buildings and tears apart the landscape. But what makes this battle so brutal isn't just the physical pain, it's the emotional devastation. Mark, still a teenager, is trying to understand why his father is doing this. The emotional toll is enormous. Watching the two of them clash, knowing that Mark's father is trying to destroy everything he's trying to protect, makes this fight deeply personal and heart-wrenching. At one point, Omni-Man literally crushes Mark's face into the ground, showing just how powerful he is. And when Omni-Man finally says goodbye to Mark, telling him that Earth doesn't deserve to be saved, it's a gut punch that leaves the audience reeling. This is a fight that shows how powerful and destructive love can be. Next up is a fight that proves how far Invincible has come in terms of growth, but also just how brutal this universe can be. We're talking about Mark versus Conquest, the Viltrumite warrior who proves to be one of the most ruthless and dangerous opponents Mark has ever faced. Conquest isn't just powerful, he's sadistic. Unlike other enemies Mark has faced, Conquest takes pleasure in causing pain, and that makes him even more dangerous. When Mark goes up against Conquest, the fight immediately turns bloody. Mark is thrown around like a rag doll, his body battered by Conquest's superior strength and brutal fighting style. But what makes this fight stand out is how personal it becomes. Conquest doesn't just want to defeat Mark, he wants to break him. He wants to prove that Mark, with all his ideals about saving people and protecting Earth, is just weak. The battle is vicious, with Mark being punched through walls, thrown into the air, and even almost killed at one point. However, it's Mark's resilience and refusal to give up that shine through. This fight is all about survival. Mark has learned from previous battles, and though he's outmatched in raw power, he doesn't just fight with his fists. He fights with his mind, his heart, and his will to protect Earth. This is one of the most brutal fights because it shows how far Mark has come, but also how difficult it is for him to grow into the hero he's meant to be. His injuries are severe, but his spirit remains unbroken. If the first Omni-Man fight was an emotional roller coaster, the final battle between Mark and Omni-Man takes it to a whole new level. This fight comes after all the truth about Omni-Man's motives has been revealed, and Mark is now fighting not just for his life, but for the future of Earth itself. This final battle sees Mark and Omni-Man locked in an epic fight, with the planet around them being completely destroyed by their blows. It's a fight that makes the first battle seem tame in comparison, as Omni-Man goes full force, determined to end Mark's life. And this time, Mark isn't just trying to survive. He's fighting to stop the destruction of Earth. The physical damage in this fight is nearly beyond comprehension. Mark is punched through buildings, hit so hard he's left unconscious, and yet each time he gets back up. The sheer brutality of the blows exchanged between father and son in this final showdown is staggering. But what truly makes this fight stand out is Mark's ability to keep fighting even when it seems like all hope is lost. He doesn't give up even even when his body is broken. It's also a battle of ideals. Mark fights to protect life, while Omni-Man fights to conquer and destroy. This emotional struggle adds layers of complexity to the fight, turning it into a battle not just of strength, but of worldview. Now, we come to one of the most tragic and brutal moments in Invincible. The fight between Invincible and the Immortal isn't just about strength, it's about vengeance, betrayal, and the harsh realities of being a hero in a world that can turn on you in an instant. After being resurrected by Cecil, the Immortal returns with a singular goal: to confront Omni-Man, the man who killed him. The battle is not only a physical confrontation, but a brutal clash of ideals. The Immortal believes in justice and retribution, while Omni-Man's dark truth comes crashing down as he faces the consequences of his actions. But the real brutality of this fight isn't just the punches thrown or the buildings that crumble. It's the emotional weight. The Immortal, once a symbol of justice, is now fighting for a cause that feels almost hopeless. He's facing the man who he once called a teammate, someone he fought alongside, and as he charges into battle, it's clear that this isn't just about defeating a villain. It's about trying to fix the impossible. Invincible, Mark ends up caught in the middle of this struggle. His own father, Omni-Man, is now not only a threat to Earth, but the cause of so much destruction in his own life. And here's Mark, watching the fight unfold, realizing that the only way to stop his father is to ultimately confront him, something he's nowhere near ready for. The fight ends with the Immortal falling once again, a tragic casualty in the larger war between Mark and his father. But even though he's defeated, the Immortal shows that heroism isn't always about winning. It's about fighting for what you believe in.